Well, the day has finally arrived. It's time for Falcons preseason football. And that guy who lives in South Carolina is really still excited about what's going to go on in Florida with the Falcons. But anywho, it's Falcons Dolphins tonight. And it has really been an
South Carolina, really.
exciting week if you are a Falcons fan, because there have been some really good reports coming out of Miami, especially what we've seen initially from the defense, and then kind of seeing the offense catch up and get up to speed so quickly as well. Even
Right.
hearing from the likes of the Miami coaches, their players, unprompted, giving some credit and some props to the defense. So, with that in mind, obviously, we're going to have an eye on what goes on in that game tonight. But you kind of never know what you're going to see. The hope would be that you see starters. So, as we talked about yesterday, maybe we can see what's going on at left guard. Maybe we can see if there's improved pass protection from Caleb McGarry, if we can see the Bijan Robinson, Desmond Ridder connection, etc. But real talk, we don't really know who we're going to see. But in your fantasy wish list, Jarvis, if there's someone or some play or something you could see tonight, what would it be?
I would think it have to be. I want to see what Matthew Bergeron looks like. I want to see the Dolphins ones. I want to see him going against the Dolphin ones too in that defensive line, because I think like the more and more he faces guys that are like NFL starting caliber guys. Some of those guys he's already faced, right? David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett. He's been getting some reps against those guys in practice. But I think when you're talking about game time ready film to look at and say, hey, here's what you need to do when you're going up against guys like that. I think that teaching moment is exactly what preseason football is all about, right? Because you getting this rookie first real game playing left guard. This is the first time he's going to be able to get some of that experience. So I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of him. But I want to see those teachable moments, like, okay, here's how you quick step this guy in this particular play, or here's how you're gonna do a quick set on this particular guy because hey, he's trying to get up on you really fast. So I think that Coach Letford is going to be able to get some good film, good live game film to be able to use so he can teach Bergeron, because this is going to do nothing but help him in his evaluation process and for him going forward, because like they go. I know that this is supposed to be a competition between he and Matt Hennessy, but this is the guy that they want to have in here. And I think that eventually we're going to see him sooner than later.
Yeah, it still feels like it's Matt Bergeron's job to lose no matter what is being
Absolutely.
said, no matter what a depth chart looks like. There's a guy, and I agree with you on offense, but since you already put Matt Bergeron out there, the guy I would put out there for me would be Zach Harrison. We've heard some really good things coming
I
out of
like that.
camp for him and coming out of joint practices for him. So I'd love to actually see that as well. Like you said, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to see it with the Dolphins ones in to give us a real idea of what he's capable of doing. But yeah, I'd really love to see Zach Harrison and what he's able to do now that he's had a couple of reps, like real time reps. And I don't mean game reps, I'm talking real time reps, as in training camp versus conference calls and FaceTimes with Calais Campbell.
Right.
So, and an honorable mention to Arnold Ebiketie for the same reason. Both of those guys have really, really been sponges towards Calais Campbell. And I just want to see, okay, this is your first time, Zach Harrison, for us to really see you show and tell from what he's shown you and told you. So very interested. But here's a scenario that I was interested in finding out about as well. Do you see, especially because I feel like where the Falcons kept winning was in the
Mm-hmm.
trenches. We heard
Yeah.
good things about that O line and the D line coming out of Miami this past week. But I'm wondering, I just don't know if we're going to see Desmond Ridder tonight, just real talk.
Yeah.
And I don't
I
know
get
if
that
we're going to
feel
really
too.
see the skill players, the ones as skill players, real talk. But do you see a scenario where maybe, just maybe, you might see the O line, the ones from the O line, if you will, so that to your point, you get an opportunity, especially to see a Matthew Bergeron in action?
Wow, that's a really good question, because here's the thing. I think that Arthur Smith is being very coy
Yes, he
about
is.
what he wants to do. Like, we know that he said, yeah, the starters are going to play in preseason. Duh. Like, we know you're not going to make that mistake again. You made that in your rookie year as a head coach. So
Yes,
we know you weren't going to make that mistake twice. So, and
exactly.
I appreciate you for that. So I think that I don't see a reason why, if you're going to put a guy like Matt Bergeron, there because Aaron and I talked about this on Locked On Falcons earlier. Where we're talking about like the guys that I don't really necessarily care to see, and that's what Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews. I know what those guys are going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Caleb McGarry, I can't put him in that category just yet because
Right.
it's just a little bit too many deficiencies there for me that I'm not comfortable with just yet. I want to see what that improvement looks like based off of what we saw last year on the field. So I think that given that only two of your guys are really worthy of not playing, why not play all of them?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you might as
That's
well
what
play
I
all
say, too.
five. And if you're going to play all five, go ahead and throw Desmond Ridder out there for a series or a series or maybe even two.
Yeah.
And, throw Bijan Robinson like you mentioned earlier. Throw him in there as well. So give us a peek. Give us, and I even joked with Aaron and I were joking. I was like, give us a piece, give us some of that good dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bijan Robinson is like that blue magic. Like, throw him out there. Like, let's get up. We want to taste. We want to see what's going on. We want to see Mr. Walk on Water. So I think that offensive line, I feel like if you're going to play any starter, you might as well go ahead and play the whole group together because the more and more those guys get that continuity going with that five, I think he's going to do wonders for them once Carolina comes to town.
I believe the same now. There could be some non-starters out there who could still play a critical role, especially at the beginning of the season with a couple of injuries, although they're day-to-day, if you will. But even without injuries, there are still some position battles out there where some individuals may, at this point in time, be non-starters. So are there any non-starters on either side of the ball that you would like to see get to work tonight?
Wow, I think that I would love to see Jalen Hawkins. Like that's my guy. Like that's my guy. I really feel like he's going to be a real nice weapon for Ryan Nielsen to launch. Whenever he feels like it, or whenever in whatever package he wants to put out there. So I think that to be able to see him, I want to see him go out there and make some plays, and then up front. I just overall, like all of the non-starters on the defensive line, like I'm calling all of y'all out. I want to see a sack. I want to see multiple sacks. As a matter of fact, like I want to see multiple sacks. I want to see the quarterback go on the ground because that's what that depth piece. We talk about the depth in the DB room. We understand that. I want to see what that depth look like on a defensive line as far as be able to get to the quarterback because that's what's going to matter on 3rd and long each and every Sunday at 1:00 when these bad boys start kicking off for real.
Yeah. And it appears that Troy Anderson is kind of, I don't want to say ensconced, but we'll use that because that's the word that's coming to my mind, right? So I kind of sort of want to see Michael Walker because, man, have we seen some shades of potential brilliance from him. And then I don't know, it just kind of went, I don't want to say off a cliff, but maybe it just kind of went on the decline for the back half of the season. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like Troy Anderson has necessarily played his way into the starting position, but it just feels like
he didn't. I say it to you. He didn't.
Right. But somehow it just feels like he's de factoing his way into a starting position. So I would really like to see Michael Walker kind of see where he is now that he's had an opportunity to be under Ryan Nielsen and also had the opportunity to be around Lorenzo Carter and just some other guys for a second year, but also maybe, and we talk about this as well, Calais Campbell is an interesting influence because you don't necessarily have to play the position he plays in order for him to influence you. Very intrigued about Michael Walker and possibly seeing what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing, like, start looking at the linebacker core when we first started coming in the spring. I'm just like, man, they're bringing in a lot of linebackers. And I was like, oh, they're trying to get rid of this guy. But I think he's starting to say, hey, I belong on this roster.
Yes.
And not only do you belong on this roster, like I belong to some playing time as well. Like some snaps, coach. I need some snaps. So I think that him getting out on the field and establishing himself, saying, hey, I'm talented. They brought me here for a reason.
Yes.
The previous regime did. So I need y'all to keep me around so I can show you prove what I can do.
Yeah, and when Dean Pease essentially calls you the quarterback of the defense and puts communication competently in your hands, and there's something still there that I hopefully can see Ryan Nielsen kind of tapping into because, I don't think that Troy Anderson has quite shown that he should just have that position. I want to see some things from Michael Walker. So that's where I'm going to have my eyes pierced tonight. But hey, everydayers, who are you guys going to be watching? I know you're going to be watching the game. We all know that. So don't forget to put it in the chat. Let us know whether it's a starter that you want to see, a non-starter, something you want to see, like, hey, getting that quarterback on the ground, meaning Tagovailoa, or something you don't want to see, meaning you don't want to see Ridder on the ground? Let us know. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, as you always do, and wherever you download the rest of your podcast. ATL Day Ones better be the first one you download as well.